Islam. We want to welcome everybody to the Moorish Science Temple of America. This is Subordinate Temple 12. We want to thank everybody for coming out. If by chance you should have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you see anybody with their hand up like this, walking about the room and moving about to get refreshments and snacks, and you can feel free to do the same thing. It's just a symbol of respect for the person talking. And if you should raise your hand and a sister has her hand up, she would probably be called on first, but we will get to you momentarily. If there's any questions at any time, feel free to ask them, because this is not a dictation of any kind. This is a class. We want to have interaction so that we may learn and benefit from each other's experiences. Islam? Islam. And with that, we'll get started. We usually start with a prayer, opening prayer. We'll have a reading of our bylaws and another reading, and then we will have a closing prayer. After the closing prayer, because we usually try to close on time, we'll stick around. Any questions, anything, feel free to stay around and ask them. Islam? Islam. We'll turn things over to the sister so we can start the prayer.
Okay. All rise and face the east. If you are in line with us and want to pray with us, then 5 on the left, 2 on the right. If not, please stay
or remain seated.
Or remain seated. Okay, repeat after me. Allah.
Allah.
The Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
peace,
freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation. Through his holy, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet.
Through Ali. Amen. Please remain standing for the reading of the laws.
Salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister in any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine bylaws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American Prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office of Noble Drew Ali, Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islam?
Islam. Again, we want to thank everybody for coming out, and this is we're going to interchange with each other and try to build with each other so that we can get to the ultimate end is for us to try to get a greater understanding of our present situation, so that we can uplift each other to a stronger position.
Wow.
You know, I've been uplifted daily. Sister was just uplifted me a minute ago. I was wrong about something. Islam.
I like that you called it uplifting.
Right. I can take it a little bit.
Yeah. So it's all about perception.
So we're going to start today. We have a couple things on the chart today. The first one is death in the city. The second one is
philanthropy. Oh, that.
Philanthropy. And then the last one is religion. I'm hoping we get to the last one. Last week we had 4 things on the list. We made it through 3 barely. Barely. Because we had a few people who had some things they wanted to say, and but we got a lot out of it. We got a lot out of it.
And it's always good when people have things that they want to say. They want to share and build, because that's how you build.
So the topic arise today of the amount of deaths. This is January. We've already had 6 deaths in Toledo. Right. Yeah. 11 deaths. We're speaking particularly of, 11 is bad, but I was speaking particularly of the Asiatic persuasion in our community. So we're having those deaths, and we have to look at what are the things that that's causing them, and what can we do about that, you know. Notes out here. So we having that already this year, and so we talked last week. One of the topics was about the community and what do we owe as a person to God, to community. We went through how we come to a point of being able to owe even for that breath that we take. So now, what would our responsibility be as a result to these deaths that's taking place? Hey, it's not my brother or my cousin or my nephew. So, you know, hey, I'm just giving out the words. So we need input, and we need it bad. As far as what do you feel is our responsibility to these deaths? What do you feel is the responsibility? Do you have any? Should you have any? What about you, sister?
What we need to do about it is some things like what we're doing right now. Why are they happening? What is the bottom line? And we can accuse whoever we want to, but it begins with self. And that responsibility is a part of self. So right now, having this conversation, bringing the truth to the forefront is one of the things we need to do.
So anybody else, how do you feel is your responsibility or not your responsibility? Anybody? So there's no way not to answer the question, because I said, how do you feel is your responsibility or not your responsibility? So,
and there's no right or wrong.
Should we move around? Should we hit some people, or we just gonna chime? Oh, here we go. We got our sister.
They used to say it takes a village to raise a child. So I think it's a collective input for everybody to take into trying to prevent, you know, the death tolls, whether it's keeping people from partaking into, you know, like gang violence or into the wrong things that they shouldn't be in. And a lot, if you look at like nowadays, a lot of people don't want to speak up and say you're doing something wrong out of fear of retaliation from either the person or whatever they're affiliated with. So I think that's an issue within itself, because our own community is starting to attack the community itself when they try to correct. So
yeah, that's Islam, without a doubt. Anybody else? Responsibility or not your responsibility, whichever way it goes.
Islam,
Got a brother in the back.
like it says, we're supposed to lift the fallen humanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a responsibility on you.
Always. Brother says definitely our responsibility. Anybody else? Come on in. What about you, brother?
It's all our responsibilities. We need to see what steps add up to that. That's the main important one leads up to causing these deaths.
Right.
Homicide, drugs.
Right.
Ego.
Not educated, not loving your fellow brother. There's different steps to lead up to it.
Right. Yeah, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? We had a responsibility, but we had a responsibility, the brother is saying, to find out the precursors to the situation. We had that responsibility to find out what happened. You just jump out there and solve something that you don't get all the information from.
You know, someone once said that to whom much is given, much is required.
Right.
So when we realize what we actually have, who we actually are, that's much. That's a lot that's given to us. So in order to have that knowledge, that truth, and partake of it and be a part of it, much is required. And uplifting fallen humanity is a requirement.
Yes, it is. You got to be armed with it or you couldn't do it. Allah could not have given us a task that we were not prepared to carry out. So we have the things that we need. It's just a matter of using them in their proper stance. We speak a lot about meditation and prayer. And our Quran speaks a lot about our meditation and our prayer, but we don't utilize it as the weapon that it is. You know, howbeit someone speaks to God but don't meditate. I have a hard time believing the person. That's me personally. A hard time. You know, most people I know that are very spiritual people meditate. You know, not just here in this country, but all around the world.
Islam. You brought up something that's interesting to me, because when I have a conversation about my meditative practices with a lot of people, they say, well, I meditate. And then they say, some will say, well, I don't know how to meditate. Or they'll choose a word and they'll think about the word.
Right.
So what is meditation?
What is meditation? Well, that is something. Do everybody know what prayer is? Because that's a very good question. Everybody know what prayer is? When you talking to God, you asking God to do something,
And
make some things better. Yeah, you telling him, God, I appreciate this. And this and that's you talking to God. Now, meditation is when God is talking back to you. So the reason why I find it hard to believe people saying they're very spiritual or very conscious and don't meditate is you saying that God is speaking to you when you don't meditate. Because it's a small voice that you hear once you get still. And you will hear the voice, it becomes very loud. It's just like if you out in the country and you had a flashlight, but it wouldn't do you no good. So this light is just not bright. You're standing in the city. You go out in the country with that same flashlight, battery dying and everything, turn it on, it's bright as all out. You're like, wow, look at that. You know why? Because it's so dark around you. But when you meditate and get to a certain stillness, it's very quiet inside your head that you hear the very small voice speak to you, giving you the answers that you need with clarity. So clear that your whole body moves. You don't even have no second guesses about it. It's automatic. Like, thank you, and you keep moving. And you'd be so grateful.
You do. And an example of this is actually one of my daughters. My kids, you know, the spirituality wasn't new to them. This particular daughter, she says, Ma, the other night, and she has a son, and she was babysitting one of my nephews. Well, about a year and a half now. And at the time, they were a little bit younger. She says, Ma, they were in the bedroom and they were sleeping really good, and I was all excited, and I laid down and I started falling asleep, and I said, ooh, I'm so glad they're okay. She said, then I heard my voice say, but are you okay? She said, why would I ask myself that? And I said, well, were you? She said, yeah. I said, so did you tell yourself okay? She said, I sat up and looked around, And I said, but did you think it was somebody else? She said, no, I know it was my voice.
Mhm.
So that means it had to be my subconscious. I prayed, I'd asked for the boys to be okay. I wanted them to be okay. But what was that? Why would I ask that? I said, because once you knew they were okay, were you okay?
Islam. And it's something. I often give an example of that when you ever been sleeping and you, right, if you're so tired, your body be so tired because you've been working so hard. You sit down the rest for a minute and your body fall instantly to sleep. But your brain is still working real well. And you start snoring and you hear it and you wake yourself up. That's how loud that be when you meditate. You can hear that voice just like that. It's small, but it's loud. You know what I'm saying? It's loud. So now we're looking at the point of how are we affected and how are we have anything to do with this, with the death of these gentlemen, that are men that are dying, babies out here that are dying as a result of misguidance. As a result of misguidance. Now,
I want to bring something because you said something, and I know that sometimes when we share, our YouTube channels, because I know how I would have felt prior to understanding this. So you said our men. Is it only our men? Or what man you referring to? You're referring to like the one that's right here outside here.
It's inside of you. That's that God that we're talking about. When we say that man, it's that God. When we speak of man, people say that it's male and female. It's not male and female, it's neither. It's man. That's what it is. You can give it a connotation as a male or a female, but that's not what we're talking about. That's not what, when we read in our holy books, that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about that individual part of God that we speaking of. Now, the reason why I brought up the prayer and the meditation, because that is a weapon that we can use. So if we couldn't do anything else, if I didn't have the wherewithal to do not one other thing, I can do that.
Islam.
Islam? I can do that. So I can never say that I can't do nothing. Because if you understood the power of prayer, then you would fully understand that prayer changes things. We did an example. The brother is not here now, Keith Dandrzel, and we did an example with water. We put that out, and he has papers about the experiment that someone done and read it all out. And it shows you water was froze that people prayed over and put under a microscope, and you can see the order came to it, to the water, and the ones that done it was just scattered. The molecules, everything was just scattered out. You could see it crystallized at a rate that was sporadic. But the ones that was prayed over and people meditated and prayed all together in a group over that water, the crystallization of the water became patterned and in order. So the more of us pray, the more order will come to the young people that has the problems. So at the very minimum, being the most powerful thing that you can do is at least pray and meditate upon the situation. Because believe it or not, those same brothers that's killing each other, they do have to sleep.
Islam.
They do have to sleep. So if you sleeping and you praying and you meditating upon it while they're sleeping, it has no choice but to bring order. So that's a weapon that we have against that. So we can do some things. Islam. Now, when we got a part in our Quran that says that, or our prophet said that we should, that people will do what you do. They won't do what you say. I could tell you 1,000 times to do something. It may be because they don't understand the way that I'm explaining it. It may be because they're stubborn. It may be 1,000 reasons why they won't do what I say do. But if they see me making money doing this, guess what? I ain't got to say nothing to them. They're going to come right over to me and start doing what I'm doing, asking me 1,000 questions. So if we pray and people, what you doing? I'm praying. I'm meditating. Meditating, yeah. You ain't got to say nothing. They going to do it. The same thing is happening if we don't change the present path of these young brothers, then other young brothers going to see that and figure that's the way to go.
Programming.
Right. They're gonna go the way that it's going. So it's on automatic, going downhill. So it's up to us to change these patterns and get out here and make a difference. It says that we derive our authority and power out of the Quran of Mecca. You know, is everybody familiar with that? With the Quran of Mecca? All right, brother here. Everybody. Well, you want to get familiar with it. It's very important to be familiar with it. You know, Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prophet, he brought a lot of interesting things and ways of bringing things to people. Now, some of those things you got in every religion or every prophet that comes, people go off in different ways doing different things. So you got different ones going different ways, you know, when they interpret the Quran. But one thing that stays pretty consistent is there's no compulsion. It says there's no compulsion in this deen. It's called deen al-fitra, meaning that there's no compulsion in this way of life. Now, why would that be something that the prophet would put in the Quran, that there's no in this way of life, as opposed to what way of life? You know what I mean? So there's other ways of life that's going on. So there's other things that's going on with other people that's different from the things that you're doing. So when Gandhi came to India, right? Islam. So he came, there was a different way of life, but it was very pure. You know, so when all of the people come, they come with purity and they come with a different way of life. You know, now we are our own selves have a way of life that we have to promote. That's going to be what we want our people to be, to adhere to. And if we don't promote it, then it won't happen. Islam. Anybody with anything on being able to help that situation or no?
Being able to help.
The situation with the young brothers killing themselves and us trying to present a proper model for them to follow.
Well, you said present. So the presentation, again, goes back to what you were originally saying. It's what they see. So, you know, a lot of times, and people will be, I've been in a situation where somebody's like, oh, well, you don't understand this. And it happens all the time. Not so much now, but it used to happen all the time. You'll never understand this because where'd you grow up at? You probably never had a struggle in your life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never had a struggle in my life. And then it used to kind of offend me because are you kidding? That's what life is, you know. And the struggle is your for lack of a better term, degrees, how you work. And graduation is when you actually are up there. And you spiritually are up there. So at first I wouldn't say anything. And you know, think whatever you want to think. And then I had to start saying, well, in high school, I had a kid. I worked really hard. I had 5 jobs at one time. And somebody said to me, why don't you say that? Because what we see is where you are now. So the presentation and being honest, the truth is, my truth was I worked hard. That's a truth that people need to see, that I continue to work hard. And that then I have people who are, you know, when it comes to the temple, well, I don't want to come in there because, you know, y'all are probably doing this. And I can't believe that you're doing that. And then I have to tell them, you know what, one time I was just like you. You know, it's been a long time since I told this story. Right. Since I told them I came here wrapped up like this and couldn't tell me nothing, zipped up to here. And I wanted to hear nothing with my hand on my hip doing this that anybody in that room had to say. On that particular day, I was the only woman in the room. I had talked to the then Grand Sheik, Brother Daniel Jail, the night before. He assured me, this isn't what you think it is. This isn't this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. Because Brother Grail kept coming, talking about, dude, I don't need to do nothing. You need to get out my face. It's how I felt. So I get there and I had certain things that I expected to be said. So, all right, I get in there and they tell me Jesus didn't exist. Bye. If I get in there and they tell me I need to completely cover up and walk behind the brothers, bye-bye. So I get there. And if they try to silence me, see you later, bye-bye. First thing was, and it amuses me because I go back to this often, what they were actually discussing was Mary and Elizabeth teaching John and Jesus. Okay, wait a minute. So in that little bit right there, they just acknowledge that women are teachers, so they can't be telling me to be quiet.
Islam.
And they just acknowledge that Jesus existed.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, I hear what they saying, but I ain't ready yet.
She relaxed
So,
a little bit.
so I relaxed a little bit.
Not much.
Wait, I slid back from the table a little bit, but I still stayed like this. But it piqued my interest. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute. In the back of my mind back here was going, what? These people who know, y'all know this? Where y'all come from? Where they grow folks like that?
Right.
And then I came back every week. We went out of town. I was on the phone because I was missing one. You remember that?
Right,
I'm on the phone because I can't miss this, and I'm taking notes while I'm cooking breakfast.
Right.
And that was a different thing, but people need to see that. People need to see, okay, yep, I was doubtful, and I wasn't just politely doubtful.
Islam.
And then what I'm doing now, because the truth does not have to necessarily be explained, because we can feel it. I felt it.
Yes.
I just wasn't going to accept it. And then the truth has no choice but to ultimately be accepted. Whether it's then, now, or some future point, the truth has to be accepted.
We won't have no choice. All we can do is deliver it. We look at what we can do to help these brothers that's falling with this, is we can try to help to educate them. Like one of the things I said, educate somebody on that little bit of information about that power of prayer, and being able to meditate first, and you can hear what God got for you. If you can't meditate, it's gonna be quite a task to try to hear God if you can't meditate. It's difficult. So you pray to ask God, you meditate to hear God. Islam. One of the things that we're gonna move on into the next one. I think the next topic is really great. Go
I
ahead.
want you to repeat the question again. What you had for us
The question
before you move on to the next topic.
Oh.
What was the question again?
The question was, what is our responsibility? The topic was the 6 deaths of the Asiatic brothers that don't happen since the first of the year. We were speaking about the 6 deaths that don't pass, and what responsibility do we have as a people, as a community, to those deaths? So that's what we was going.
As far as helping these young brothers and these young sisters out, it's hard to relate to every aspect and every depth of what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got these suburban children who want to be gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these kids who's going through what they're going through. They have no choice but to go through what they're going through.
Islam.
And it's hard to relate to them. You tell them what you've only went through. That's how you relate to them. You tell them your struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to know that their background. And then you find someone who's went through what they went through who can possibly relate towards them.
Islam.
Now you see this child in my hands right now. This is my son.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is to relate towards him.
Right.
And what I went through. And his brothers and sisters who are older than me, who are my elders, such as Tameaka and Chris, and how I can relate to what they're going through. It doesn't matter if you're, to me, if you're older, if that's your elder, or you're the younger. If you can help each other, then that's what you do. But you do it in a respectful manner. And some of this younger generation,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know anything about respect.
Mm-hmm.
So, you try to talk to them in such a manner that's not so aggressive, but that's not in a way that where they take your kindness for weakness.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's hard to get to them. It's hard. It's hard to choose your words to where you won't either gonna get ran over or they just gonna shoo you away. So I've talked to some of these younger brothers, and I've talked to brothers that's my age. I've talked to brothers and sisters that's older than me, and either they adhere or they don't want to have nothing to do with it.
So the brothers say it's gonna be a challenging thing for us. It's not gonna be a easy task for us to go. What would you have, brother?
Islam, I'm gonna say this, all water settles at its own level. But regarding as to somebody who's speaking, you got your lower self and you got your higher self. And we went over this topic before. A lot of it is programming. A lot of it is, if you're doing wrong, the child sees you doing wrong, then he will do wrong. Very few people have the ability to think beyond the system that we've been put in. Now, once you're able to do that, but I can't go out and say to a child, don't do this. And then they walk around a corner and they see me doing just that opposite. That's where the light in me has to shine out. Now, they spend billions on programming. When you listen to your rap CDs, or whether it's rock music, rap, see, they've taken you out of your nationality, and then you're sitting here claiming something that is not to be. Well, we all came here. That's your child in your hand, right?
Yes, sir.
Name one piece of copper or precious metal he came to this planet with other than what's inside his body. You come with nothing, you leave with nothing. And a lot of the times we are so stuck on, as we say with y'all thing, those what? 20s. That
It's
music.
26s. It's 26s.
So as you say that, you have to save yourself first. I can't save you. You have to want to save yourself. As I say, the Lord don't help nobody who doesn't help themselves. Remember, was that Hippie Harry?
Yeah.
Bobby Womack?
And that is a point that we have to keep in mind. But the point to it all is that we will the point that we have with it all is that we have to educate, you know, but we have to have a proper education. When we look at going to grade school, middle school, high school, college, and we got a bachelor's, a master's on up. When you get to the ultimate education, is Islam. Islam is the ultimate education you're gonna get. It's gonna know thyself. You cannot have a higher education than thyself. So we have to get to the point where we're teaching Islam to these people so that they can understand what it is and how it works for them and how they pray. And that's one of the biggest things that we have to do. And I know that we got 1,000 things on that. However, we got to keep
struggling right here. I'm struggling right here though, because when the brother was talking and the brother co-signed, they said you come here with nothing and you leave with nothing. However, you come here with everything precious that you ever had, which is what the brother first said. So I'm struggling with that concept of you come here with nothing and you leave with nothing when you came here with everything. You leave with everything, not nothing, as long as you understand the concept. So I just had to get that out.
Islam. So we move into a point to where, okay, who knows Ken Reeves? Matrix.
Keanu Reeves.
Right. You know the Matrix?
Yes. The young brother who has lost everything but gave everything.
Right. Do anybody know the Matrix? Everybody know the Matrix? Okay, so one particular thing about it, I use this particular thing because this is an example of how society moves and how we move. We can choose to move as a result. We can believe what society tells us, or we can believe the truth. So the reason why I used him to start this off is because he is a person that's made a lot of money. He donated 70% of his money to charity from Matrix. 70%. You know how much money Matrix made? He had 1, 2, and 3. You know, they begging for 4 if they can get it. So, you know, so that's to say that he doesn't have a mansion. You know, he doesn't have this big car, that big car, none of that. He just walk around like me and you, enjoying life, doing his thing. And the point of that is that he's an example to you and to me. But who knew that besides me?
Islam.
Hold on, just anybody? Just acknowledgement. I'm just setting the stage. We're switching gears to another topic here. You know what I'm saying? So everybody was aware of it is what I'm trying to get.
The brother there.
I'm aware.
Right.
He went through a lot in his life, his sister, parents, and he's donated a lot of his money to try to help what he's went through with his family to help diagnose these things and overcome these things.
Right.
A lot of people say, what did they say? He betrays himself as a unhappy person, but he says he's very happy because he's doing what he set out to do. He didn't set out to be a millionaire and all this type of person that everyone looks up to, and he has all this money, and he donates the majority of his money away, to help as he sees fit to help the world.
So you have the point that I'm making with him as an example is society would have you believe that all you see is people that's running around taking and stealing and conning and conniving. That you don't have people that's doing the opposite, and that the people that's doing the opposite, that's not conniving and stealing and cheating, that they are the minority of the people. That the people that's doing all the good is the minority of the people. But let's say if you needed you came out your house, guess what? I need a cup of milk or some bread. Could you go to a neighbor and ask for that? Likely so. Most people, that can happen. If you needed a ride, a neighbor will probably give you a ride. There'll be people that come, you working a job, it's what, I can't get here, I gotta catch the bus. I'm coming your way, I can pick you up. So these are things that are going on every day. The minority of the people is those that are stealing and killing. They need to make sure that you believe that it's the other way around. And here's some more examples, so we can get into this the right way. We have, and I'm interested in Asiatic. The sister has something.
Yeah, I think we kind of take it for granted that neighbors are that friendly anymore. It used to be that friendly 30 years ago, but even in Toledo, it's not. It's not. Neighbors don't even like each other. They don't know each other. The culture has fully been taken over by the mindset, my business is my business, and I'm staying out of yours.
That's
we
true.
We don't take care of each other like that.
That is true. That may be your mindset. Hold on. We're gonna wait. I know it's gonna get a little testy, but we're gonna be all right. But it's okay. We have to accept that. Okay, if that is my mindset, then that's the case. Now that's not my neighbors. That may be your neighbors, but it's not my neighbors. I'm saying that your neighbors are the minority.
Well, you would have to study you would have to study the culture.
Then we can. Let's see about the people. Let's ask some people in here. So this brother in the back, your neighbors. Do you think if you ask your neighbors for a ride, would they give you a ride?
Yeah. How long have you lived by your neighbors?
Almost 10 years.
So you established a rapport.
Okay. Wait a minute. But the brother right here, what about you? You think your neighbors would give you a ride, or if you needed you said, man, I'm hungry?
Maybe.
Let him answer this.
Yep.
What were you asking?
Brother right here.
Yeah, maybe. I'll say maybe so.
Okay, you think so? Go ahead.
Islam. My whole block will do anything. I got a neighbor, his camera crosses from my yard to his. I got another one. If somebody don't look right, he calls me.
This is brother Chris Grahale. He don't count because everybody likes him.
Right,
everybody likes. No, I'm just playing. He do count. I'm using an example of what I'm talking about.
I got the state trooper down the street. And then I have regular people. When I first moved over there, I would be walking, they would stop. You need any help? When I first got into my house, they came out. I got a guy from city council across the street from me. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. Now keep in mind, I'm in Washington local district, even with coaching. And then once they understood what my religion was, belief system, they began studying to take a look so they don't offend me.
It's not.
So I'm
brother, go ahead.
I don't have a problem either. My neighbors, in fact, my one neighbor, she's always got a dish for me.
Islam.
He was being there.
Yeah.
Islam, I have to say that the first year that I moved there, in this particular house, the first year that I moved to the one before, two totally different areas. One would be considered the hood. The other one would be where we live at now. It's always been like that. I've never run across where the neighborhood, you couldn't go to a neighbor. One of the neighbors, the first year we moved there, I needed to go to work. It went between a level 2 and level 3, back to level 2. I couldn't get my car out. Not only did he try to get my car out, but he took me to the University of Toledo campus and then said, if you need a ride back, here's my number so that I can come get you. So I've never had that other experience.
So what we have, okay, we're gonna let the sister be the last remark. Go ahead on that.
That's all I was gonna say. My current neighborhood, I've only been there about 3 months. I think I can ask anybody in the neighborhood block. But when we first moved over off of Freeman and Parkside, I'm not so sure. I mean, I think once you talk to them, hold a conversation,
right,
and they see the personality and the person itself, they'll give you a chance. I think.
Well, if I look like a mass murderer, I probably won't get a ride. Just be real.
Not getting no milk.
Well, did you have some sister? I'm sorry, I know that was the last one, but if you had, he was okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I live in a gated community. Yes, I can ask people to help me. My neighbor, even though we don't see each other, but here with my mom, I have a family member next door, and they fell out because of money. So I know I can't ask her. And the other guy next door, he's out in Louisville land someplace, so I know I couldn't ask them.
Right.
So it all depends.
Yeah, it all depends. And the point that was made is that
I make an effort to reach out to them.
Exactly. Yeah. So the point is made is that the people that are willing to give are vastly more than the people that are not. You know what I'm saying? In any given room, if you go in a room and start talking to people, you will have more people in the room willing to give you something than people that's willing to take something from you. And if you think that this is not true, you can ask somebody. A lot of times it's hard to even give somebody something because there's a law of reciprocity that takes place. When I say, here you go. I go give it to you.
I have to do something.
Right. That person automatically feel like you're giving me something. Well, no, it's free, sister. You gotta get nothing. It's okay,
I don't believe you. The water dry.
Right.
Gave away free water. No, I don't want your water.
An example would be we had a water drive. And we was trying to give away water because it was hot. So we said, it would be nice to go out and give away water. It's an event in the park. Let's go to the park and give this water away. So we get out to the park, we set up, we got our signs up, we got free water. There we go. They playing basketball, they got little tournaments going on. We shouldn't have a problem. We got water stacked up all over the place. We got free water to give away.
We still got some water
that we
left.
still have,
so
right?
bad.
So we not understanding why these people ain't coming to get this water. So we talked to some kids. The kids come over and get the water. And the people walking by said, okay, sister, you want some water? She's like, no. I said, but you look hot. You look hot, sister. You look hot. And the rest of y'all look like they definitely look thirsty. So he's walking, and the one at the end just said, I'm getting some of that water. So she walked on over. I said, well, there's no strings attached to the water. It's free. Here's a pamphlet about why we're giving the water away, and here's the thing, really? Stuff just shot off. People started, the word was out. That is actually free water. So they seen free water, but they didn't believe it. You see? So it's up to us. It's up to us to portray what we are. It's up to us to portray that I prayed for you last night. You know what I'm saying? It's up to me to portray that, I meditated about this when we talking about. I don't need to come out and say, hey, I got the answer. I meditated on the answer to this. And it's perplexed. But I believe if we continue to pray, we'll be able to get somewhere.
And when I prayed and when I meditated, I said, thank you to Allah for the highest good of all parties involved. That's another piece that a lot of people don't get. I prayed for them 26s and I ain't got them yet. Okay, well, maybe that wasn't for the greatest good. He started it. He started it.
Fictional gifts.
Islam. Sister, you had some on that?
Yeah, I just want to share this. Because I'm gonna go back to the point that you said that right here in 2018, it's more of us that would do good.
Islam.
Right in the earth right now, right? Okay.
It's a science.
So if it's more of us than it is of them right now, with all of our good intentions, you asked, why was it so hard to give this water away? I'm asking, then why is it so hard to give this love away? why don't we see the real change of love in the earth right now? It's more of us than it is of them right now.
Why don't you see it?
I'm asking you. You said, because it reflects your question. You said why? Because you asked yourself, why was it so hard to give this water away when you were out in the park trying to give water away? If there's more of us than it is of them who live in this high vibrational energy of love, you know, it's supposed to have an effect in the earth. Why is it so hard to give this love away? I'm just making the contrast between your water and love.
Okay, the sister was up first here. Let's get the sister.
I was gonna say it's a seed that has been planted that has spread that creates a block, but we have to come together to overpower that block so that people will be aware. Is how I feel. People, you know, block themselves and they're not able to receive that love. And that's how I feel what causes the block for them.
That's what this mass awakening is about, though. We're saying the earth is ready to wake, but we're waking up. And somebody is going to have to model and teach. I mean, I'm going to add this, I'm going to shut up. Early, you know, if we're going to change people's minds in this culture, you know, and the only way you can do that is to change their mind. We have to change white folks' mind about black folks, you know, so that we see the love in the earth. And I'm just only gonna say this by contrast. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. You know, your intent is to lift up fallen humanity. The only way you can do that is by changing their mind. So you know, the brother Christelle, he was talking about don't do this. That's a conviction. That's a mindset of mass incarceration. So to teach, you have to say, do this. That's the only way you teach is to say, do this. And we're not showing the culture enough what to do. We're telling them what not to do, just like the old school used to say, keep your pants up. Well, they weren't telling us the value of our bodies. They would just say, keep your pants up. That's not teaching. That's conviction. You know, you say, do this to teach.
Islam. So there's something else that used to be said that we don't say as much now. I say it all the time. And we were going through an airport, and one of the people that was letting us through said this to me. Old people used to say, let me learn you something. Because I can teach you whatever. Yes. I can tell you whatever. Man learns not by being told.
Yes.
Man learns by being shown.
Yes.
And that's where it comes at. So yeah, there's all this love there. However, not only are some of us afraid to receive it, but we're afraid to give it.
Is it there? Because I don't have to tell you that I'm giving you love. I don't have to tell you that. It's not my job. You know by being shown. So if you show it, the person has no doubt. Like I said, if I'm going over here and I'm making this money and it's being good, I don't have to call nobody. I can go out here. If people see me making money, they'll come up out of nowhere, don't know me from Adam. Hey man, how's it going? You know, what's going on here? Show me how to do that. Why? Because I'm making money. They're willing to do whatever I want to do. So if you show love, you don't have to worry about what they're doing. They're not ready yet. Keep going. Keep showing it to the next man. When he come back again, show it to him again. Don't ever give up. Why would you give up?
That's the case. Because it's easy.
I'm going to tell you what you're saying here, but people fail to realize the spell that has been casted on this land. Now, that's getting into the science. As I can sit here and tell you, people will say, a lot of the problems you have, like I said, is called spelling, S-P-E-L-L-I-N-G. Now, when you get into that of why people this love, you got to understand that the programming that has occurred, and you're not just going to take that programming away overnight. The bottom line is, at one time, the fictional use of the word white, black, that's why you can't get love, because they don't exist. We're not crayons. So now you have artificial intelligence trying to fill its way through a real system. Now, when I come in here and I look at you and I say to myself, I don't trust her, but I can go and trust Albie in person. I can trust that Chinese man. It goes back to within, what's in coming out. Now, your case is, I'm gonna tell you, don't do. Because if I tell you do, then you're gonna be back in that same hole. There are, what you can't have, law, right? What is it saying?
The letter without love is death.
Islam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, the wages of that is that. Now, but once you're able to get in to say, hey, evil manifests itself, it seems like for a long time, but it hasn't.
400 years.
Now, there's another, no, your math will be wrong.
We can
Okay,
have.
explain.
So
Our bylaw says,
Islam, we need to watch the time.
Yeah.
okay, that's another class.
We can do this in
Yeah, we're on the point of that there's more people here that are willing to assist and help and learn to be in a higher self than there are those that refuse to. If we believe that there are more people that are refusing to adhere to our higher selves, then that is the purpose of the news. That is the purpose of all of the propaganda that you hear saying that people are stealing and killing and maiming. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear about all of this other stuff, which is the reason why we took off with the story with Reeves. Now
I got a quick question, because you just mentioned something about the higher self. What if there's somebody out there that has no idea what that is? You mean, what am I, bipolar, schizophrenic? What is this higher self?
You got some things going on, sis. You got some. No, I'm just playing. But yes, your higher self is a wonderful self. You know, we have, and these are the things that we have to come to class about, because it's just like if you had an airplane and you needed it fixed, and me and the sister both say we can fix it. We say, well, okay, well, there's three parts of it.
You said not flying.
Right. So you say there's three parts of an airplane. What are the three main parts of an airplane? And she said, well, I don't know. And then I say, well, I know two of them. Who you gonna have fix your plane?
We don't make up the other one.
Right. You gonna get somebody to know what they're talking about. So the point being is that that we have to know the parts of our body, just like you know the parts of a plane, before you can fix it, or before you can repair it, or before you can help it get better. You have to know what that body consists of. So the higher self and lower self are these parts that we have to understand what makes up the lower self, what makes up the higher self. You know, so when you come in, we're willing to express all that to you, because this is Islam. That's that higher education that you can get. So that's why we say come in here and get that education. So we want to make sure that you come in and get that. That's what she was speaking of. But to keep going on where we go, because that's another class, a good class too. And is this there's did you know that in August is a Black philanthropic month? Yeah, it's right. That's actually where all these people get together and they give out this money. Now they said $4 million came with $1,000 or less. So $4 million came from $1,000 or less. So you know how many people would have to give that? It's a lot of people, you know. So we always look at the big amount of money that's being given. But what about the little amounts? When you look at how many people donated to Obama's campaign, $50 and $100, you know, in the millions of people. So it's way more of us that are willing to help than it is of those that are willing to tear it down. So it's up to us to tell each other that I'm willing to help. I'm not willing to continue to sit here and see it on the dark side, because that's what they keep promoting to me, the dark side. You have a higher self, and I don't need to explain to you what it is. You already know. Deep down inside, you know what the higher self is. You know, we can get the rules to it, write it down as to what the prophet told us about it and everything else, but really deep down inside of you, you know what that is. And all you got to do is tell the next person, I'm willing to help. That's all you got to say. I'm willing to help. What you gonna do? Something.
I'm willing to help, and I'm willing to accept help, because that's another problem that I have.
Islam.
And I'm notorious for that, willing to accept help. You can see.
Yeah.
I be like, I ain't got time for it. I'm just gonna go
Boy,
ahead
that
and do
boy's
it.
ball came. I thought I wasn't gonna survive it trying to help her. Sister, listen. They're like, well, I called them and that. Sister, listen. But I just gotta go get Chris, Get her. He like, she'll slow down in a minute and we'll get her.
If
He know his
my
wife,
phone
but
would
she
run
she
one
sure
more
did.
time,
She
if
sure
somebody
did.
said, I will assist.
She's
Wait,
slow.
I'm looking over there too. Finally, I was just like, okay, fine.
Right.
I'm willing to accept this assistance.
That's loud.
It ain't gonna go away because they willing to help.
And now I'm gonna read you, here's a list of some of these philanthropic people. Oprah gave $300 million away. Michael Jackson, $300 million away. Bill Cosby and his wife, they gave $20 million to Spillman, not counting a lot of other millions they gave over time. Tom Jordan, $55 million. Will and Jada Pickett, I don't know how many million. Tyler Perry, Eddie C. Brown. Now, Eddie C. Brown, not a very, you know that person? So all these people are not people that you see. Some of these people don't make money in the stock market. Some of them made money in private business. Some of them made money in the new technologies and things of that nature. And these are all people of color. These are all people that are Asiatic people. You know, they won't be listed under Asiatic, obviously. We know why. But they'll be listed under people of color or Black African American or something of that nature. And you got Robert F. Smith. And you can look a couple of these guys up and see what's going on and the type of change they're working with. Robert F. Smith, Eddie C. Brown, Charles Phillips, Richard D. Parsons, Beyonce, everybody know Beyonce, right? Shayla C. Johnson, that's the BET, right? Morgan Freeman.
Hey.
You got James L. McNeil, Michael Jordan. You got LeBron James. You know, LeBron James gave $65 million last year. You know what I'm saying? So these we can use as just everyday people and stars people. But the point about that is saying this, and we're gonna have to close out. We didn't get to the third topic. Got a little heated in there a little bit. But the thing is saying,
good heat.
The thing that we're saying is that these everyday people that's giving away money and giving away good wishes and goodwill, we are at a point in our lives where all we need to do is put it together and the money will come. We spend a lot of time saying we don't got the money. No, you don't have the mindset. We have plenty of money. We have plenty. Brother in the back, got something?
Just touching up on that Keanu Reeves thing. Got to mention, he gave 70% away, but how much is he worth still?
Well, he's still worth $100 million. But that's not the only movie that he done was The Matrix.
But
he's done.
Please, because I was waiting on somebody to do this, to do exactly what he did. Because one of the things that happens is people will explain it away. What you just did was an example of explaining it away. It doesn't matter what he has left.
No,
It matters that he did it.
Hold on one second. That's not what he meant. I think he meant that if you give your money to Allah,
but I didn't
and law
say
makes
that
sure
was
you
what
got
he
more to
meant.
give.
I didn't say that was what he meant.
Right,
I
that's
said I was waiting on somebody to bring that up
Mhm.
because it gave me an in.
Right.
So no, I don't think that's what he meant, but people
Yeah, they
will
do. They will. They'll go, well, they gave that money
They
away.
gave it away
That's
because
they
it's a
taxed.
tax.
Yeah, it was
See,
it. It was that, you know.
when in all actuality, what happened is you give it and you receive it, which is actually what he was saying. But that's not what you will hear most of the time. You know, Oprah gives all this stuff away. That's her tax deduction. How about maybe she just gave it away to give it away, and her blessing was that this is what happened. But you said, but and you brought up all the people who right here can be doing these things. I have a challenge. You know, I love to issue challenges because I know a lot of people right here in this audience right here. You, anybody, I challenge you over the next week to think about what you have actually given. I know some people have given away a lot. And when I say a lot, when we talk about we're leading by example, not just by told, but shown as well. Consider that your time is money and your money is money. And think about how much all the people in this room who never thought about it before have actually given to society.
And that's a great challenge to end upon. And I'm gonna give us a quick reading so that you would we didn't get to this point, which was supposed to be a lot out of this, but we didn't get there. It's coming out of chapter 35. And it's going to be the first verse of chapter 35. And then we're going to go to the last verse, which is 30 of chapter 35. It says, there is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, incomprehensible. There is but one. And then 30 says, is anybody on 30?
I am.
Are we there? Has anybody got 30 in view? We on 35. 35 is the chapter. In verse 30. You on verse 30 there?
Yeah.
Page 44, verse 30. Page 44.
This is the true economy of human life.
There it is. It said that this is the true economy of human life. The first verse said, there is but one Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. Now read 30 again.
This is the true economy of human life.
This is the true economy of human life. There's no failure to go wrong. The economy of our life is Allah. As long as we bend to the rules that Allah has given us, then we will be bountiful in our economy of everything that we do. That is the true economy of your life, not a dollar that is not real. You know, you can't do anything with that piece of paper unless somebody else agrees to it. But the air you breathe is real. You know what I'm saying? The reality inside of you is real when I talk about your higher self. When you pray, that be real. You want some help. You know what I'm saying? When you get down on your knees, you want some help. That's real. You don't care if it come in the form of another person, a $100 bill, or whatever. You just want some relief when you praying. And you don't care where it come from, and that's Allah will bring it to you in that fashion. So with that, we're gonna end. And if anybody got any questions, you feel free to stay. We remain here for a little while, but we have to close out. We're a little bit past the time that we anticipated stopping. But however, it was a very good class.
It was good.
Islam? You want to go ahead and leave this on up?
Okay, standing 5 on the left, 2 on the right. If you are so inclined to do so. Allah.
Allah.
Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My God.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night and by day.
By night and by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Jurali. Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing.
Allah, bind our hearts and mind back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principle. This we ask in thy holy name, seven Elohim. Amen.
Amen.
Islam.
Somebody got a Quran or Bible that they shouldn't have. Somebody grab some off this table up there.
This is yours.